In this video, I want to talk about 4 key attributes that will make you a great dad. 4 key attributes that make you a great dad. And I say this as someone that is a father of 2. And my eldest daughter will be 15 this year. So I've been in this game a little bit, been in this fatherhood thing for a number of years. And I want to share these 4 things. These are 4 things that I've learned over the course of the years. And number one thing to being a great dad is instilling good principles in your kids. Instilling good principles in your kids. One of the things that people say when they come to my family, come to my home, and spend time with me and my wife and my children is how well behaved the kids are. And that's not by accident. It's not by accident. It's something that we had to develop in them over the years. Since my kids were little, we don't tolerate tantrums. And my kids were never those you see in the supermarket acting a fool. We taught them how to behave and how not to behave. We instilled those principles in them. We disciplined bad behavior and we rewarded good behavior. And in turn, the kids learned how to behave. And that's grown with them as they've grown older over the course of the years. They've continued with those principles that we taught them. So when we go to my kids' school, they are never amongst those that are identified as problematic or making noise in class or being, disturbing or being disruptive. They are never among those or categorized among those type of kids because from when they were kids, we instilled those principles in them. We taught them right from wrong. We taught them how to behave, how not to behave. We taught them manners. We taught them courtesy, right? We taught them about being a good person, not being rude, respecting your elders, respecting those in authority over you. We were intentional in instilling these principles in them, and it's grown with them. It's up to you to do it as a father. Because if you don't, somebody else will teach him. The world will teach them, society will teach them, social media will teach them. And what they will learn from these other sources, you're not going to like. Because the world is a mess right now, whether we want to admit it or not. The world is a complete mess. And the lines between good and bad are so blurred, people don't even know the difference between good and bad anymore. And when you try to stand up for what's good, you're labeled as the bad person. And so therefore, if you don't want your kids to go down the wrong path, it's up to you to instill the right principles in them. So that's number one. Number 2 is being there. And as simple as that sounds, it can be hard. Because especially as men, we're always driven to go and conquer the world. Go conquer the world, go make money. We're chasing status, we're chasing wealth, we're chasing success, chasing promotion. And so our time and energy and our attention, more specifically, is always divided. And so you may find that you've given the best of yourself to the world, and then when you get home, your family gets the leftovers. So they don't get your energy, they don't get your time, they don't get your attention. They get you there physically, but are you there mentally? Are you there emotionally? Your kids need you to be there, not just physically, but they need you to be present mentally. Be there for them. Let them know you love them. Spend time with them. Take them out. I mean, we're entering spring now. The weather's getting good. And around this time is when I start taking my kids. Maybe every weekend we might go for ice cream. We might just go for a drive. We might go to a restaurant as a family and go eat. And then I use those as opportunities to talk to them, to just get to know them. I ask them questions. What's going on in school? Is anyone giving you a hard time? Are you struggling with any subjects? Get to know their likes, their dislikes. And you're only going to discover that through spending time with them, the time investment that you make. Get to know their likes and dislikes. Get to know their pain. Get to know their passion. Get to know their fears, their insecurities. And then be the person that inspires and builds their confidence in those areas. Get to know them, get to talk to them. Because by talking to them, you're building a bond. And then they'll once that bond is built, they'll feel comfortable to be able to open up to you about anything they may be going through or any challenges they're facing, or even if they have something exciting, they'll be free to share it with you. But if you don't build that relationship with them, they'll become insular and you will never really get to know them. You know, I one of my recent videos, I talked about someone I knew, or a person I was told about, who their father recently passed away and they don't really know how to feel about it. And this isn't a case about whether they knew their dad or not. They knew their dad because the dad was there physically, but over the course of the years, they never built, that relationship wasn't nurtured. So they never really felt like they knew their father, or that their father took the time to try and get to know them and to build a relationship with them, right? And they felt like, although he was there physically, they felt like he didn't really care because he never spent time with them, he never hung out with them, he never did things with them, he never talked to them. And so now he's gone and there's a confliction. How am I supposed to feel about this? Because I never really felt like I knew him in the first place. So yes, I'm sad that he's no longer here, but at the same time, I kind of feel like, well, he was never really there for me, so I don't really know how to feel. You see, and this is what happens if you don't make that time investment in your kids. So if you want to be a good father, remember we're talking about 4 attributes that make you a great dad. You have to make that time investment. You have to carve out time specifically just for your children. And it can be simple things. It can just be watching a movie together. And you'll find that the more you do these things with your kids, the more like a natural bond just gets created. You know, I started to discover just from spending time with my kids how similar we are and how we just naturally have certain interests that align. And I think maybe it's just genetics or whatever, because like my eldest daughter, for example, she loves Marvel movies. Well, I've loved Marvel movies from before she was even born. And so I just find it fascinating that now, you know, she's a teenager now, she's 14, and she loves Marvel, she loves DC movies, and she's into sci-fi. And these are areas that I have interest in as well. So we connect and we bond over that, you know, and I'm making these discoveries because I'm taking the time to be with them, right? So I'm not going to spend too long on that. That's number 2, being present. Being present and be intentional, creating time for them, not just giving them leftover energy. Like, give them your full energy. Let them know you're there. Let's hang out. Let's be a family. Let's spend time together. So that's number 2. And number 3 kind of ties in with that. Number 3 is balancing firmness with friendliness. Balancing firmness with friendliness. You see, it's great to be there for your kids, like I just said, and spending that time to get to know them and build that bond. But at the same time, you have to balance that with firmness and making sure you're correcting them when you need to correct them and that you're regulating bad behavior. It can't just be all roses all the time, chocolates and roses, right? You don't have a healthy diet by just consuming candy and ice cream all the time. That's not a balanced diet. You also need to eat your vegetables. And it's the same thing when raising kids and trying to be a father. You can't just be the nice, friendly dad all the time that says yes to everything, but then you don't balance that with firmness, correcting bad behavior, letting them know when they've been disrespectful, and disciplining them when they need to be disciplined, right? There has to be that balance, because there's a lot of parents and fathers who lean too much into the friendliness aspect of things, and it gets to a point where the lines become so blurred that the kids now no longer have any respect for the authority that you have as a father. You know, I've seen kids blatantly tell their parents to shut up, and say all kinds of things that I would never dream. I wouldn't dare open my mouth to speak to my parents like that. But I see kids who find it so easy to disrespect their parents and just curse out their parents and say all kinds of crazy things to their parents. And I wonder, like, how did it get to that stage? And sometimes I'm led to believe that it's because that kind of behavior wasn't corrected. when they were younger. The firmness wasn't there. It was all muddle cuddle, right? They were muddle cuddled too much. They were told yes all the time. They were never told no. They were never disciplined. They were never corrected. So it gets to a point where they lack respect for authority. They lack respect for people that are older than them. You know, I was raised in a culture where it's just a cultural thing set in stone. Like, someone's older than you, you respect them, right? You show them respect, you show them courtesy. Someone is in authority over you as a leader, whether it's your boss at work, whether it's your pastor at church, or whoever, a teacher at school. You show them respect, right? And but I'm finding that a lot of kids lack that these days. Simple things like you hold the door open for them, they don't even know how to say thank you. They'll just walk past you like you owed them to hold them, like it was your duty to hold the door open for them. You know, teach your kids principle, teach them manners, and when they cross that boundary of starting to act entitled, where you do nice things for them and they don't recognize or appreciate it, correct it, right? If you need to say no to certain things, say no, so that when they go out in the world and then they're denied certain things in the world, they don't go crazy because they've never been told no in their life, and then they start to act a fool, right? Learn to teach them no. Learn to be firm with them. Learn to say no once in a while. Sometimes I do it just to let my kids know that, you know, you can't always get your way. Because in life, you don't always get your way. That's just the way life goes. And you have to prepare them emotionally to be able to handle no's in life and to be able to handle rejections in life. So that's that. That's number 3, balancing firmness with friendliness. And last but not least, number 4 is teach your children about life. Teach them about life. You know, nobody else is going to teach them if you don't teach them. Nobody else is going to prepare them if you don't prepare them. I teach my kids, and one of the ways I teach my kids is when we're going on drives, maybe when I pick them up from school or I'm taking them to swimming or wherever, we talk in the car. I teach them about money. I teach them about having confidence. I teach them about taking their education seriously. I teach them about so many different things. We just talk, and I teach them about my perspective on life. I teach them what's going to make them excel in life. I let them know that success isn't a guaranteed. It's what you put in that you're going to get out. I let them know that their efforts in going the extra mile in school is what's going to set them apart, right? And I'm so glad because my kids take on those lessons, and academically, they're doing so well. Because also, not only do they realize that they have to put in the effort to climb higher, to succeed, and to rise above everybody else, because life is competitive, whether you want to accept it or not. You know, I know there's this thing where in certain areas they want every kid to get a medal, but life doesn't work that way. In real life, only one guy gets the medal, and that's the guy that wins. So I'm teaching my kids, look, you need to have a mentality of being the head and not the tail. You have to have the mentality of being the winner. Because, you know, in your school, everybody might get a medal, but in life, only one guy gets the medal. You want to be that guy or that person. So I teach them about life. I teach them about finances. That when you start working, you don't want to eat everything that comes into your hand. You don't want to squander all your money and spend all your money on stupid things. You want to start thinking about investing and putting some of that money aside to build your financial future, because that's how wealth is created. We talk about that. We talk about so many different things. Teach them about life, about different things. Teach them about your experiences, things that you've been through, the lessons that you've learned from those experiences, and what they can learn from it so that they can avoid certain pitfalls when they start getting to the age where they're starting to have interest in, a significant other, and they're getting into a puppy love stage, and maybe there's a boy that's whispering sweet nothings in their ear or whatever, if you're a father of girls like I am. Or whether it's the other way around, you may have a boy and he's starting to see somebody that, he's taking a liking to. Teach him, because whether you like it or not, those attractions are going to naturally evolve and start. But be in a position where you teach him about do's and don'ts in a relationship, and how certain actions can have long-term consequences if you don't conduct your relationship in a certain way at this early stage. Teach him about life. Teach him about life. And then be their motivator. Be someone that speaks life and encouragement into them. There's a key thing that I learned when I was very young, and I learned this with Dr. Miles Monroe. He said, when God created man in the beginning, the instructions on what to do and what not to do was given to Adam. It wasn't given to Eve, because Eve wasn't around when the instructions were given. So it was up to Adam to then pass on those instructions to Eve. And therefore, by default, Adam became the teacher of the word, of the do's and don'ts, right? And when you fail to pass on the instructions, there can be significant consequences, because you're not fulfilling your role as a father, as a leader, as the foundation of the family. Because again, man was created first. And when you're building a house, the foundation is laid first before the rest of the structure is built on top. And as a man, you're the foundation because you came first, and the rest of the structure is going to be built on you. So you need to be able to handle that weight. And what that also says is, as a man, you need to prepare yourself, right? And build up yourself so that you can handle that weight, so you don't crumble under the pressure of having to carry a family. But that's a different lesson for a different day. But teach your kids about life. And these 4 things, if you can execute and work on them, it's going to set you apart from other dads. It's going to make you a great dad. It's going to make you a father that your children not only love, but also respect, right? You're going to be able to strike that great balance between having a wonderful relationship with your kids and still being able to have their respect and earn their respect. So, those are the 4 principles for today. If you'd like to hear more in future videos, then please subscribe to the channel and do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button on this video as well. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.